And good evening, everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. And you are live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube with another edition of the ACHA Power Play. First one of 2023. The road to Boston is ready to roll here. We are right about 2 months and 1 week away from the start of the national championships in Boston for 2023 for all 5 divisions in the ACHA. Good evening, everybody. Yours truly, Captain Lou, with you tonight. We got a great show planned for you, the opening show of 2023, as we got a great lineup of guests coming up here shortly. In about a minute or so, we'll have the head coach of Indiana Tech's men's D1 team, Frank DiCristofaro, will join us. And then at the bottom of the hour, the head coach of Michigan's women's ACHA D1 program, that's Jenna Trubiano, will join us. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, we'll have Dave Appel from, he's the head coach of the Purdue University Boilermakers ACHA men's D3 squad. So a great lineup of guests as the road to Boston, as I mentioned, is getting into full steam. Like we like to say, the first semester or the first part was the marathon, and now it is amplified. And without any further ado, let's bring in our first guest of the show here tonight on 2023, the head coach of the ACHA men's D1 Indiana Tech squad, Frank DiCristofaro. Frank, thanks for joining us tonight. How are you?
I'm all right, Lou. Thanks for having me. I'm trying to hide from the current homework that's happening in my house and screaming and yelling and all that stuff. So trying to hide in my room from that right now.
Oh, it's all good. I thought maybe you're trying to hide from the Red Wings since they're kind of struggling as of late.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like the Lions in that regard. I'm probably going to watch regardless.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a heck of a game Sunday night for the Lions. Not to digress too much, but I know they didn't make the playoffs, but it's always nice getting Aaron Rodgers knocked out of the playoffs too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, let's get started here, Frank. Off to another good start this year. Good first semester for you guys. I think you're ranked 5th in the latest poll. I talked to you earlier in the fall, and you guys were in the midst of a decent run, and it's continued. Congratulations on the great start. I know there's a lot of work yet to be done, but good start so far for you.
Yeah, I think we've really put ourselves in a good spot. The guys have worked very, very hard, and they really, especially the new guys coming in, really take to the structure. I think we have good leadership that kind of paved the road like we have the last several years. I know it is nice to be number 5. I mean, Lou, as you know, the computer can do funny things from week to week. So I think a couple of years back, I think it was Coach Powers at Arizona State said that when they made the demit teams. So it's always nice to be, in that conversation. And again, you're really at the mercy of the computers right now.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked, you've got still a big slate of games coming up. The Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference now has a few teams that are ranked beside yourself. Lawrence Tech having a good year so far, Concordia making some progress, of course, in Aquinas and Michigan Dearborn. So yeah, you can't take the foot off the gas pedal either.
No, you really can't. I think our conference has come a long ways in the past 4 years. We do have a good crop of coaches that know what they're doing and take pride in what they're doing, as well as the schools that support hockey the way that they do. It's really good to see. I guess the only flip side of that is we do play a lot of league games against each other. So things, especially in the second half, can get really, really heated because everybody knows everybody. So the games tend to be closer here in the second semester.
Now, I know that your conference tournament is that's for the automatic bid. So you talk about getting ramped up. It's even another 5-10-fold when it comes to that conference tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's more conferences that are going to that format in the last couple of years. Is at least that's what I've heard. But yeah, when you're playing for the auto bid to the national tournament, definitely, I think the pace, the sense of urgency certainly picks up. We have had some upsets. I think last year, the big upset was Concordia over Lawrence Tech in a really good game. I think that went to overtime. I'd have to go back and take a look.
Yeah.
But watch.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think there was a lot of overtime games in that tournament too. Speaking of last year, I know you really don't want to talk a whole lot about it, but for actually going into this year, that national tournament had, I'm sure it served as some motivation for you guys coming into this year.
Yeah, I think there was a sense of some unfinished business coming into this year. I mean, playing UCO the way that we did, it was a very good game, and actually, Mike Rivera and I have had chances to chat a little bit more because we're both on the Team USA staff for the World Cup, World University Cup coming up in April, and it was just it was back and forth. There were it was one of the better games of the tournament. I mean, obviously you have the 8 overtime game, but the playing the UCO the way that we played and the way that we kind of went back and forth and kind of toe to toe with them, it was fun. It was entertaining, but we have some guys that are kind of like, we're right there. So coming in, that certainly gave us a push, coming into this year. And I think that's kind of, in the scopes right now, moving forward for the second half here.
Now, speaking of your team this year in the second half, it seems like there's guys that you've had for a while, Frank, but I've also noticed you've got a good mix of young kids that are just starting out, and it's worked out pretty good for you guys so far.
Yeah, I think we're pretty deep, just overall. Obviously, we do have some of the older guys that have been here. Alex Potter, and you have Axel Lowe and Cole Barney. Kind of anchoring, the back end. But we also have Matt Krasny and Cam Chabot up front. Fabian Grankfist, who have been they've been with the program for the duration, just about. It seems, and they really kind of know what it takes, and they're, like I said, they're kind of showing the way for the younger guys coming in and seeing, okay, this is legitimate. Where this it's not going to be easy. We're going to play some really good teams, like Dearborn's good, Aquinas is good, Concordia is good, Lawrence. Like, these are conference games. And then we'll have some non-conference teams thrown in there, like we had Grand Valley, Davenport, those types of programs that are going to test you. So, the young guys are understanding that it's sort of like Game 7 every night, so you have to be ready.
Well, I'm glad it took me 3 or 4 years to finally figure out how to pronounce Chabot's name right. I've been calling him Shabbat as the old Red Wing when I do the game. So now I got to remember that. I'll write that down on my notes for in a week and a half when you guys come up to Grand Rapids. That's funny. Seems like I always butcher one or two of your players every year. So now I get a head start. I'm glad to see that. Thank you.
It's no worries.
I wanted to talk about, I know you've talked on my show about this, but I want to bring it up for some that aren't real familiar with it. When we first met, you guys were at the D3 level, and then you went to the NAIA format for a couple of years. So you've risen up the ladder, so to speak, as far as the, the levels from all the way up to D1, and you guys have been, successful at D1. Now, besides the obvious, the differences, obviously the speed and the size of the guys and whatnot, Is there anything, Frank, that you were surprised or you've been surprised by, maybe how good the quality is at D1 or anything of that that's, maybe made you coach a little different, if nothing else?
Um, the coaching aspect largely is consistent. I
Okay.
think the biggest difference is the depth. When you don't have the drop off from your top line to your bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you get into that national tournament, and you get into conference championship tournaments. The separation from line one to line four cannot be much, or
Yeah.
it's gonna be a tough go. Your top D pairing to your last D pairing, there can't be weaknesses, or it's gonna be. I think that's the biggest difference going through all the levels.
And Frank, one of the things that I've noticed kind of going up there is the defense is just so much. To me, it's been a lot better. Obviously at the D1 level, it just
Mhm.
seems like it's a lot tighter, than at the lower levels.
Yeah, and that feeds into your guys are bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. Like when you recruit, um, those guys that are coming in as 21-year-old freshmen, they're not your traditional
Hmm.
guys that are coming as 17, 18-year-olds. These guys have grown that extra 2 years through. All of the guys that we have played junior hockey, so they've had time to, I guess, hone their craft. So the time and space is just not there, and that feeds into what you said about bigger, stronger, faster. It's definitely more difficult to get to the net successfully and score. And that's a piece to it. Like, guys sacrifice their bodies, blocking shots are at a premium. Like, that was one of the frustrating pieces with teams like UCO, where they block a lot of shots and there weren't many lanes to get the puck to the net. So
Hmm.
I would say your time and space in the ozone is very limited, as well as you have teams that are more able to, from top to bottom, execute their structure in order to be successful.
No, you're like everybody else, Frank. You guys had about a month or so off with the break. When did the guys come back and you guys start practicing back and getting ready for the second semester?
So we got them back Saturday, this past
Okay.
Saturday, and did a little. We had a little 3-on-3 tournament. It was good for the guys to get back going. And then we were back on the ice. We gave them Sunday off because I could tell you some of them were probably feeling that a little bit. And then got back on Monday, and today, we're going to give them, tomorrow's an optional day, and we're going to work with the goalies a little bit, and then back at it Thursday, and then we actually have a 3-game weekend here coming up.
Well, I noticed that you have, I think, Cleary coming up, and then Western Michigan. It's it's obvious that you want to get off to a hot start. But do you expect any rustiness in the first couple of shifts, maybe first half of period on Friday?
I think we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There will be a little bit of that. I mean, guys have skated over break, but it's largely men's league stuff like that.
Mhm.
Some guys even did some roller, from what they told me. So it's good
Oh,
that they
wow.
kind of skated a bit. Yeah. So, but Cleary already has had a series under their belt. They split with Lawrence Tech.
Oh, wow.
So I know they have a new coach with Scotty Gardner there. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm excited to see how it goes. I for sure expect
Yeah.
some rustiness, but I think our older guys can sort of pave the way and be like, okay, we'll get a period and a half. We're gonna shake the stuff off and then get after it.
So did you get out there and participate in that 3-on-3 tournament?
Oh, absolutely not. These guys are too good anymore. We I got a chance to get home back to Michigan. I'm originally from Allen Park,
Yeah.
southeast Detroit over there. So I was talking with some buddies while I was back home, and it's like, we all have kids now. and we're all talking about, comparing the eras, and how good kids are anymore. And it's just, head and heels, how
Ah,
the game has progressed. And it's fun to watch. Like, you got guys
oh
like
yeah.
Ovechkin doing what he's doing.
Oh,
It's fantastic. It's great for the game. It provides exposure. I enjoy it.
oh yeah. It's awesome. It's the up and down is fun. And going back to what we're talking about the Red Wings right at the top, it's fun to see them being competitive this year, to make it so you're not wanting to turn it off after a period. They're looking better. I like the mix that they're bringing in.
Yes, yeah. I mean, people joke about the Iser plan and things. I know that there's a structure, uh, and I think they're probably about 2 years. I'd hate to, put anything out there, but I think they're probably 2 years out from the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
I saw you to chat with him, and it sounds like, a couple of those guys were brought in and chatted with Steve, and it sounds like that what's going on behind the scenes is the trajectory is going to be going up here soon. So, pretty excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Real quick, now before you went to obviously, like we said, you had a good run in the first semester. If there's one thing that you guys maybe, I don't know if there's anything you need to work on, just maybe to keep the focus on with the sprint with this last month and a half or so before hopefully a trip to Boston, what would that be, Frank? What think one of the guys may have to work on a little bit?
Um, Really our net front presence. I think we do have a lot of guys that are very good and creative. I think we're going to be working on our grit in front of the net and cleaning up rebounds, not just in our zone, but uh, as far as defensively, but offensively too. We're going to have to be tough in front of the net because it's a playoff structure every time we play now.
Oh
And we
yeah.
tell the guys we're going to see every team's best game, and that's just it is what we're going to see the goalie's best game. We're going to see 1 through 20's best game. So we have to be ready, and we have to be able to understand and manage the puck well, make sure that
Mhm.
we own the slots. So that's really kind of going to be the focus here for the second half.
Well, Frank, I appreciate you taking time out tonight. You get a chance to avoid the homework for 20 minutes. And good luck, man. Good luck
So
this
far, so
weekend.
good.
There you go. Good luck this weekend. And
Yes,
look forward to
absolutely,
talking to you the following weekend when you come up to Grand Rapids to take on Aquinas. I'll see you on that Friday night. And good luck the rest of the year. Hopefully it all works out and
for sure.
we'll try to take a ride down. If not that weekend, maybe for the conference tournament towards the end of February.
Sounds great. Thanks, Lou. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Frank. Frank DiCristofaro, the head coach of Indiana Tech. They're currently ranked number 5 in the country in the ACHA Men's D1. Always great to catch up with Frank. He very informative. A great squad. They've been very successful over the years. In the last 5 years, of course, we talked about D3, and then when they had the NAIA run where they were in the finals in 18, then won it in 19, and then of course all the way up through to last year, we talked about that UCO game went to overtime, and what an exciting game from start to finish. And that's the tough thing about nationals in D1 as opposed to the other ones is it's one and done. And we've talked about that numerous times on the show that you can't afford to have a bad period or a couple of bad penalties, whereas in the other formats in D2 and D3 you might be able to get a break and come back in the round robin tournament, but in D1 they get to take the 20 teams and it's bracketed single elimination. So again, it I know they're looking forward to hopefully trying to get back to Boston as well and take that next step. And so, again, thanks to head coach Frank DiCristofaro from Indiana Tech. They've got a weekend set coming up, as he mentioned, with Cleary. then I believe Western Michigan on Sunday. And Cleary has come a long way since they started a few years ago. And as he mentioned, a big split with Lawrence Tech, who was ranked in the top 15 in the country. So let's, as a matter of fact, while we got a few minutes, let's take a look at the rankings in D1 real quick. And let's see, I might even be able to bring those up. Maybe not, I guess not. Anyways, let's go through those. Number one, these were through December. So the new rankings for January yet are not out. They won't be probably, I think, till next week. But anyways, Minot State is number one, the last ranking, undefeated. Then you've got Adrian College ranked number 2. They're at 16-2-1. At Liberty's number 3. Then you've got Nevada, Las Vegas at 4. And then, of course, Indiana Tech, as we mentioned, at 5. Ohio University at 6. Central Oklahoma at 7. Again, a lot of these teams, they're mainstays at the national tournament scene and always right up there. Jamestown at 8. Lawrence Tech, we talked about them. They were at number 8, or number 9 rather. Calvin having a heck of a year. They've had some pedigree at the D3 level, looking to make their mark at the D1 level. They're at 10th. Maryville's at 11th. Pittsburgh at 12. Arizona at 13. Grand Valley, they've made quite a climb since the start of the year. They're up to number 14. They had a big showing in that Grand Rapids Hall of Fame tournament back in December. So they're at 14. Niagara at 15. Indiana U at 16. Illinois State at 17. Stony Brook at 18. Arizona State at 19. And then Michigan Dearborn, we talked about them at 20. And Utah at 21. Purdue Northwest at 22. So, and again, with the top tour, they take 20 teams in the national tournament. And keep in mind, there are auto bids for the 8 conference tournaments, I believe, is what it's at. The count is at. So if you want to make sure that you're kind of close to probably, I want to say in the top 12, top 14, just to kind of be safe and maybe get that last opportunity to get in. I know last year, for example, in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, we were talking about that, their conference tournament where to get the auto bid. One of the bids came down to a semifinal matchup between Dearborn and Aquinas. And that went to overtime. And Michigan Dearborn won that game in overtime. I think it was like 6-5. And they ended up getting one of the last bids into the tournament over Aquinas. So, yeah, it's the conference tournament. They're going to play a part. And as we mentioned this year in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, that is going to be the automatic bid will go to the conference champion. So a lot of these teams like Indiana Tech, Lawrence Tech, University of Michigan, Dearborn, whomever that are close, they're going to want to get their, win as many of them as they can to kind of get that cushion going so they don't have to rely on maybe stubbing their toe, winning the conference tournament in case they stub their toe and have a bad period, just like the national tournament. So again, thanks to Coach DiCristofaro for joining us here on the program. Still to come at the bottom of the hour, we've got Jenna Trubiano from Michigan, the women's D1 program. They're having a pretty good start as well. They are at number 6 in the country, I believe, in Division I for the women. And they take, I believe, the top 10 out of that league. And it's like a double elimination tournament. So different types of brackets and tournaments in the nationals this year. And then still to come as well at 8:00 tonight, we've got Dave Appel, the coach of the University of Purdue, the Boilermakers, who I believe are ranked 8th in the country. And we'll talk to Dave about this because in D3, it's now different. Whereas before it was you had the regional tournaments and that's how you qualified in each of the 4 regions. They took 4 teams from each region. Now it's just the top 16 teams, the computer rankings and whatnot. And those are going to come right down to the wire as well. The only, I believe the only division now that has the regional tournaments is Division II. And how that works, as we've talked many times here on the show, is that you get the top 2 teams in each region, they get an automatic berth. They get the bye. They don't have to go into the regional tournaments. And then 3 through 14 have a 3-day kind of a March Madness type bracketed tournament as well. And I know I believe the top 2 teams are, I'll have to look at the format again. They get a bye into the second round. Then they take 2 teams out of each of those regions from there. So you're going to have 4. That's how they get the 4 teams from each region. Then they all go into pool play like Division III has. And it makes for some exciting hockey in that pool play in the national tournament. So again, all 5 of the divisions will be in one spot again this year. They're going to be in one facility this year as well. It's going to be in Boston, Marlborough, Massachusetts, to be exact. So again, that's coming up March 16th through the 21st. If you're in that area, I highly recommend that you check out the national tournament. It's great hockey. It's, these kids, for a lot of them, this is their last opportunity. A lot of the senior classes, this is their last opportunity, organized hockey. They lay it all out, and it's very competitive. The hockey is top notch. So again, welcome everybody to the ACHA Power Play. If you want to contact us in any way, you can. Follow me on Twitter at Real Captain Lou. We're live on there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Captain Lou Sports Network. We've got all the past episodes of the ACHA Power Play on there as well. You can follow us on the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page or my personal Facebook page. You can see that on the bottom, or drop us an email, sweetlou1965 at yahoo.com. It's that simple. So, I can't say enough about how excited I am to be getting ready to get to the national tournament to cover this. We're going to be doing a wrap-up show every night of the national tournament. You can catch that on the network as well. And I want to mention, too, that we are powered up by bellyupsports.com. It's great to be a part of the Belly Up family. Check out bellyupsports.com for all of the articles that they write, and, of course, all the great podcasts that we have covering all the major sports as well. So, it's exciting. You talk about it in September when the season starts, and you think, okay, we still got 6 months to go. But now we're down to 2 months, and it's getting closer, and it's going to be here before we know it. So anyways, let's go back to our guest line, our guest screen, I guess you could say. And let's bring in the head coach of the University of Michigan, the women's D1 program, and that's Jenna Trubiano. Jenna, thanks for joining us tonight. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Great start to the year for you as well. The ladies are off to a good start, ranked, I believe, 6th in the country right now in D1. Got to be very pleased with that first semester.
Yeah, we're super excited. Last year was a bit of a transition year, as it was my first season as a head coach. So I think we had 20 returners this season, and we had quite an influx of new players. So we kind of built on the structure we had established last season, as well as the culture, and that's just kind of rolled right into the season. So yeah, it's super exciting to see that we're, again, a top 10 team in the nation. I think this is our first time in the top 10 since 2016. So it's super exciting and energizing to see.
Now, you mentioned that you were, I saw in your bio, you were a player for the Wolverines back in the last decade. What's been the biggest difference, or I don't want to say the most difficult thing, but going to transition from player, now you're running the program, so to speak. And how's that been for you?
It's definitely been a shift. Coaching had been something always on my radar, even as a player growing up in Michigan. And I love the game, and it's just another way for me to give back to the program at the University of Michigan that's done so much for me in my professional career as well as my athletic career.
Yeah, it's and technically a club program, and so you still have to do all the funding and everything as a player, but now you got the recruiting aspect of it as well. And I bet you that keeps you busy almost all year round, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of interest in our program, even more so now that we're in the top 10. And yeah, it's for us, it's obviously difficult to be admitted to the University of Michigan. So I do work full time in addition to coaching the program, I would say full time. So I do my best to respond to a lot of the inquiries I get, but all of our students are top of the class, top of their class in high school. They've done all the extracurriculars that set them up to be admitted to the University of Michigan. So those are the students I like to focus on.
And, you bring up a good point about being at the top of the class. And that's, I've covered the ACHA now for about 7 years. And what a lot of people fail to understand is, the kids got to do the fundraising. They got to do the organizing, but then they still got to go to class. And that's first and foremost. And the dedication, the discipline, organization, that's what I always marvel at, Jenna, with the kids. It's not just show up at the rink for an hour for practice and then play on the weekends. It's amazing, especially at a very prestigious school.
Yeah, I would agree. What I really love about our program is our students can, they can hold jobs on campus. They can be in research labs. I think probably half of our team does some sort of research on campus, which is phenomenal. And they're students first, so we want them to have that experience while they're in school for 4 or 5 years, whatever it may be. So we definitely prioritize academics, but obviously we have a very strong hockey team, and we're going to continue to build on that. I think we do a really great job at balancing academics with our hockey schedule.
Now, Jenna, on the ice, getting back to that, I look at your stats and I look at how well your team has done. And to me, what stands out is the amazing defense that you gals have played this year, and also the great goaltending. Sandrine Poneth has been phenomenal for you in net this year. Those numbers that she's put up has been crazy.
Yeah, she's definitely a stud, and we're very thankful to have her. She's the core of our defense, so we build from the net out. I think last season was a bit of an adjustment for us. We were giving a lot of shots up per game, but that's something that we've worked on for this season. And we've got a really solid defensive core, led by one of our seniors, Annabelle Levinson. She's a super smart player, and we're going to be sad to lose her next year. But we've got a really great defensive core. We're probably one of the tallest defensive units in the country. We've got a 6-foot-tall defenseman in Kara Kolwich, who's a freshman, and she's getting better every game and every practice. So we're very excited for the future, but obviously focusing on finishing out this season super strong.
Well, I hate to keep using the old cliche, but they say defense wins championships. So if that's the case, you've got a good head start on that.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Well, but, I'm not taking anything away from your scoring, though. What I also notice is you've got a very balanced scoring team. It looks like you can roll out 3 or 4 lines without any hesitation.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. We've got a super deep, forward end this season, and we have 4 solid forward lines that we honestly just roll them. So it's very hard to. If we had to pick and choose the top 6, it'd be very, very difficult because everybody brings, their own talents to the table. And I'd say we've got a lot of good energy on the forward side of things.
Now, I noticed you had a game this past Sunday, but if I'm not mistaken, you and your ladies are taking a trip out west for a 3-game set this weekend. How much of that is going to be a business trip, and how much is that going to be kind of a fun getaway for the gals?
I think we're going to do a really great job at mixing both. Obviously, the purpose of the trip is to go play teams outside of our conference, which is the CCWHA, to show our strength as a team and to show the strength of the CCWHA as a conference, because all the teams are so great now. So we're flying out Thursday night, but we've got some great team events planned. I know some families are planning on coming down to meet us, and I have some family that's coming down as well. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for us to get some team bonding in, as well as enjoy some nice weather, because it's obviously pretty cold in Michigan right now. And yeah, we're excited. It'll be a good mix of both, and we try to give the students opportunities to have some downtime where they can study or they can hang out with their family if they do have family in town.
And then when you come back after that, again, we talk about it all the time here on the show. This is the sprint part of your schedule. You've got a good lineup of games coming up, and I know you got that game against that particular university about 60 miles northwest of you too. So we won't mention there. No, I'm just kidding. Michigan State. You got a good schedule that you've got to play yet coming up after that West Coast trip.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We've got a lot of league games coming up, which will help sort out the league tournament. That's at the end of February in Burton, Michigan. So our goal is to win out. I think it's an attainable goal. We've just got to keep building on the little things, and like you said, defense first, and just take it game by game.
Now, Jenna, I know you're not looking for to nationals. It's down the road, but your conference now. You got your conference? You get an automatic berth. Is that from the tournament or is that regular season?
That is from the tournament. So we've got 2 pods. There's an East pod and a West pod for the CCWHA, and then the top 3 teams from each pod, which have 6 teams each, will go on to the league tournament. They'll be invited. And then the winner of the league tournament receives an auto bid to the national tournament. And then if you're still ranked within the top 10, depending on the auto bids, you may or may not receive a bid to nationals. Now,
do they take 10 teams to the national tournament? Do you know? Is that
they do?
Okay, I did say that right. All right. I should know that.
You got it right.
Okay, good.
It used to be 8 when I played. It used to be 8, and then we expanded to 10.
Okay. Did you get a chance to go to nationals when you played?
We did, yeah. We never performed very well, and I think it was because Michigan has an earlier spring break than most other schools, because most spring breaks align with the national tournament, but Michigan's does not. So we kind of lose a week of practice and preparation, given our academic schedule. But yes, we did attend nationals. We never did as well as I had hoped to as a player, but I think that there's been a bit of a culture shift with the players on the team, and they all love hockey and they love to win. So I'm fairly confident that if we do receive a bid to the national tournament, which I'm optimistic that we will perform very well.
So, you'd mentioned that you want to work on the defensive side, always kind of a work in progress. Is there one thing other than that you might want to work on as a team, through this last month and a half leading into your conference tournament?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is just to believe in each other, support, communicate with each other, just do those, almost like the soft skills, if that makes sense. We've got the on-ice talent. We have the ability to execute, but just continuing to build on our team culture off the ice. And I think our Arizona trip will be a great opportunity to do so, kind of get the ball rolling for the rest of the season, get everybody on the same page, get your work done. If you have any exams, take care of them. Basically get everything aligned, because we know our travel schedule, potential travel schedule for nationals. So just get everybody in the right mindset.
So you played at Michigan. Where else did you play hockey besides University of Michigan?
I grew up in New Baltimore, Chesterfield, Michigan. So East Side. I grew up playing for Bell Tire and Little Caesars AAA. I played Little Caesars both year of 16s, and then my 19U season, and went through the recruiting process. But I've talked about it on other podcasts. It's just, the University of Michigan offers something that not many other schools can offer. When you're looking for a women's hockey program, and realistically, I mean, things were different 10 years ago, but still women's hockey players aren't making millions of dollars playing in the NHL. So it's not a 4-year degree, it's a lifetime degree. So I made that decision, and in making that decision, I also wanted to make a difference in our program, because I think there's a unique opportunity for any female hockey player, whether from the state of Michigan or not, to play women's hockey at the University of Michigan.
Jenna, I've noticed too, there's a few more of the females that are getting to play pro hockey overseas too, and that have played ACHA hockey. I know it's a tough road to go, but I've noticed that more in the last few years.
Yeah, I have too. I think it's exciting to see. It just means that the sport's growing, and women's sports in general are just growing exponentially. So I'm super excited to see that.
So I'm assuming you're a Red Wings fan, or you were growing up, and you might still be, or am I mistaken?
You are not mistaken. I love the Detroit Red Wings.
They're fun to watch, aren't they? They're coming along, boy. I tell you, it's been a rough few years, but it was worth it with all the winning they did before, huh?
Yeah, trust in the ACHA plan. That's what I've been doing. I try to make it to games when I can, but given our schedule, it's quite difficult. So
I bet. Wow. So you've got this weekend coming up in Arizona. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And then you've got a good slate of games coming. Jenna, I appreciate you taking time out tonight. This has been fun. And then when's your conference tournament?
Let me just check the schedule. It's the end of February. I can give you the dates. So the CCWHA tournament begins on Friday, February 24th.
Okay.
And then the championship game will be on Sunday, the 26th.
Okay. And it's up in Burton, Michigan. That's outside of Flint, correct?
Yes, it's at the Crystal Fieldhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where that's at. All right. Well, hey, Jenna, thanks for taking time out tonight. Good luck this weekend out in Arizona. Get some sunshine. Bring some of that back for us, will you, up here?
I'll try.
I'm in Grand Ledge, so I'm not too far away from Ann Arbor, and it's cold over here too. Yeah, bring some back, would you? And hopefully all goes well. And knock on wood, your ladies get to make it out to Boston. And if I don't get a chance to get to one of your games here locally, I'll hopefully get to meet you in person out in Boston in March. Thank you for coming on.
Great. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all your work.
All right. Thank you. Jenna Trubiano, the head coach of the University of Michigan's women's D1 program, currently ranked 6th in the country in Division I, and off to a great start again this year, as she mentioned, kind of getting the program back to where it was, making trips to the national tournament. And that's a great thing to be able to do. Get a chance to get out and play these weekend sets down south and get away. You talk about a bonding experience, and that's what it is. And but they get a chance to play some hockey, and then they get to go with that sprint. I'm going to keep saying it every week. I know it. But that's the Nationals are going to be here before you know it, and so the room for error is there isn't a whole lot of it left, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So again, thanks to Jenna Trubiano for coming on the show. You're watching the ACHA Power Play here on the Captain Lou Sports Network here on YouTube. And of course, we are powered up by Belly Up Sports. Again, check out their website, bellyupsports.com. We've got a tremendous list of podcasts, a great lineup of podcasts here on Belly Up Sports, all the sports that we cover, all the 4 major sports, college sports, including the ACHA. Make sure you check us out, bellyupsports.com, including my other podcast, which I'll be having tomorrow at 7:30, special start time, the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We got a great show lined up tomorrow. We got Jake Ellenbogen from the Downtown Rams. We're going to talk LA Rams football, and he's going to help preview the NFL playoffs, which start this coming weekend. And then at 8:15 tomorrow night, we're going to be joined talking about the Red Wings. Max Boltman, he writes for the Athletic, and he's the Detroit Red Wings beat writer for the Athletic. He's going to stop by, and we're going to talk about the Red Wings and the NHL as they're getting closer and closer to the halfway pole of this 2022-2023 NHL season. So that's tomorrow night on the Captain Lou Extravaganza, right on the same network here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, powered up by Belly Up Sports. Getting back to the ACHA, we talked about Michigan being ranked number 6 in the country. Let's take a look at the women's rankings in Division I. And I might even be able to see if I can share this screen right here. I've been able to do it in the past. So let's see if we can't get that up there. I think I just might have done it. All right. Whoops. There we go with the women's Division I rankings. Again, these were through the middle of December, but the latest rankings we have, Liberty, of course, number 1. They've been there all year. 11-0. Adrian College there at number 2. Midland University at number 3. Indiana Tech, another strong program down there. The Warriors are at number 4. Minot State, a mainstay in the ACHA as well, at number 5. The University of Michigan at number 6. And let's see, coming up. And number 7, of course, Miami. Number 8, McKendree. Number 9, Maryville University. Number 10, Arizona State. And then at number 11, Lindenwood University. University of Massachusetts at 12. Michigan Dearborn at 13. Jamestown at 14. And Grand Canyon at 15. So those are the top 15 teams in the country right now in the ACHA in Women's Division I. So, and their format, it is 10 teams. I thought I had that right. I'm glad that Coach Trubiano was able to confirm that with me, as they do a bracketed double elimination format. So, and then before they get to the Final Four, and then of course the championship game. So they're going to be there as well. It is, again, March 16th through the 21st. That is the dates for the 2023 National Tournament for the ACHA, as it's the 3 divisions for the men, 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 women's divisions, Division I and Division II. Division II, I believe they do a 8-team tournament with kind of like a 2 out of 3 format for the 8 teams, all into obviously 2 teams of 4, or I'm sorry, 4 bracketed down into 2. See, it's 2023. I'm a little bit rusty here. Then we get the semifinals and the finals in that format as well. So a lot of exciting hockey. And Jenna Trubiano mentioned it. The women's brand of hockey is really improved in the last short period of time. A lot more opportunities for them. It's a great style. It's a fun brand of hockey to watch too. There's no checking in the women's game, but it's quick. It's end to end. And that's what really impresses me a lot about the defensive stats that some of these goaltenders are able to put up, because of that end-to-end style of action. So it's a fun brand of hockey, and it's just another example of what you're going to get to see at the national tournament coming up in March, in the middle of March. So again, the women's D1 is a bracketed double elimination tournament. The women's D2 is 8 teams, and you get that broken down into 4 matchups where it's a 2 out of 3, and then they take the 4 winners from there, going to the semifinals, and then the finals on March 21st. Men's D1 is a 20-team single elimination tournament. Obviously, the top teams get a bye the opening day, but it's win or go home. And we talked a lot about that on the program last year. Frank's team, for example, they had an overtime game with Central Oklahoma, and we had a 5 overtime game in D1. It was just absolutely amazing. The men's D2 championship game went to triple overtime. But that men's D1, it's like I said, it is single elimination, and there were some really good games. There weren't too many blowouts There are a lot of 1-goal games. You get the defense. You see it throughout the year, and we mentioned it. It's the defense is tighter, but boy, when you get no tournament action, and you know that you can't make that many mistakes, teams don't take as many chances. But it really is. It's a great brand of hockey, and so at the D1 level too, all the levels. But the single elimination tournament, you can't afford to make too many mistakes. You get behind by 1 or 2 goals, boy, it's just, you can't take a period off. Not that you really can in the other levels, but if you make a mistake or have a bad penalty or which leads to a goal or whatever, you can rebound from it at the D2 or D3 level with that round robin pool play. Where at the D2 and D3 level, you get 4 pools, 4 teams. They are guaranteed 3 games. And then obviously they take the pool winners. And some of those were exciting last year at the D3 level, especially scoring a couple of goals in the last minute. I know Arkansas did that against Notre Dame. I think they were down 1 goal, and they'd lost the game in pool play. So they had to win and to get in and get that tiebreaker over Notre Dame. And then, of course, they took Hope to overtime in the semifinals, which was, I had the privilege of calling that semifinal game along with the game that Frank DiCristofaro, our first guest tonight, talked about, that Central Oklahoma game against Indiana Tech. I had the privilege of calling that game as well. Those are 2 of the probably the most exciting hockey games that I've had the privilege of calling. It's that's the kind of brand of hockey you're going to see in Boston coming up the weekend of March 17th. It's kind of a wraparound weekend, I should say. It's Wednesday or Thursday through Tuesday, I believe, that weekend. So we're talking, 66 days before it all gets kicked off. So make sure that you follow me on Twitter. There it is on the bottom of the page. I'll give you all the updates of all the scores there during that tournament play. And before that, through the month of January and February, all the updates on conference tournaments and on, especially D2 with the regionals, as those are coming very soon. Those are like in the middle, I believe, of February or right towards the end, because those teams don't have a lot of time after that to get ready for nationals. So again, how that works in D2, they've got the 4 regions. The top 2 teams in each region get a bye. They get the automatic bid to nationals, and then 3 through 14 play in the regional tournaments. And then they take 2 teams out of each of those regions. So basically, you've got to win at least 2. Some of the higher seeds have to win 3, and it's been done. I was able to broadcast some D2 regionals a few years ago, right before COVID, or before COVID, I should say. And you had I think a 9 and a 10 seed both make it to nationals, so they had to win 3 games, and it's amazing. You talk about heart-stopping action, so much fun. Maybe not that much fun for the coaches, but a lot of fun for somebody like me being able to broadcast the game. So speaking of Division II, let's take a look at those rankings. Now, again, these are from the middle of December. The new ones will be coming up this month, probably within the next week or 2, I'm sure. Again, we broke down we said there's 4 regions. The Northeast region, UMass and Northeastern right now are ranked 1 and 2 in their region. Then they would get the automatic berth if it ended right now. Then you've got Boston U, Boston College, Keene State, all mainstays in the national tournament D2. Bentley University, New Hampshire, Army at 8, Bryant at 9, Bridgewater State at 10, Vermont at 11, Sacred Heart at 12, Merrimack at 13, and Clarkson at 14. Those would be the teams that would be in regional action right now. In the Central region, Lindenwood and St. Thomas, 1 and 2. They would get the auto burst. Then you've got Trine at 3, Concordia of Wisconsin at 4, University of Minnesota Crookston at 5, Lake Superior State at 6. Then you got Marion at 7, Iowa at 8, DePaul at 9, and Wisconsin at 10. Minnesota at 11, Michigan State at 12, Adrian College at 13, Jamestown at 14, and then Sioux College right behind them at 15. And watch out for Sioux College. If they get in, they're going to be a force. A great brand of hockey up there. And so keep an eye out for them. In the Southeast Regional, again, here's two teams that seem like they're always at nationals, always right there. Gulf Coast and Liberty. Florida Gulf Coast, they took the University of Mary to triple overtime last year. Bob Brinkworth's team in the finals before dropping a heart stopper. I think it was 3-2 was the final score there. Liberty's at 2. Miami is at 3. Kentucky at 4. Ohio at 5. Indiana at 6. Ohio State at 7. Rowan at 9. Penn State at 8. Maryland at 10. Louisville at 11. Pennsylvania at 12. North Carolina State at 13. And North Carolina at 14. So then you've got Maryville right outside, or Millersville rather, right outside there at 15. And finally, in the West, we talked about University of Mary at 1. They're the two-time defending champs. Montana State at 2. Utah State at 3. Denver at 4. Metro State at 5. Montana at 6. Weber State at 7. Northern Colorado at 8. Utah at 9. Dakota College of Bottineau at 10. Washington at 11. Grand Canyon at 12. Williston State at 13. And Arizona State at 14. So, again, those are the rankings right now in Division 2. And as we mentioned, those top 2 teams in each of those divisions, or each of those regions rather, get a bye. And then the regional tournaments will commence for teams 3 through 14. So real quick before we're scheduled to be joined by Purdue's coach Dave Appel here at the top of the hour. Hope College in D3, let's go through the rankings. The 2-time defending champions, they're at number 1. Notre Dame is at number 2. Arkansas is at 3. Missouri State at 4. Saginaw Valley up to 5. Lawrence Tech at 6. The United States Air Force Academy at 7. Purdue at 8. Grand Valley at 9. Michigan at 10. New Mexico at 11. Missouri at 12. Nebraska at 13. Indiana at 14. Dordt College at 15. And then Florida Gulf Coast up to 16. So there's some big names in Division 3. Some names with a lot of pedigree. Starts right at the top with Hope. Chris Van Timmeren's team, just right where they left off. The number 1 team in the country. They've got the target on their back. Notre Dame at 2. And then we mentioned with Arkansas. I know Arkansas would love nothing better to get another crack at Hope College in the tournament. They've had a couple of just amazing games. Of course, 2021, we're able to get the D3 National Tournament, and they played Hope College in the championship game, and that was a 2-goal game, and then they got the rematch with them in the semifinals last year and lost to them in overtime. As I mentioned, one of the most thrilling games that I've been able to call in the national tournament. So again, we talk about the rankings, kind of gives you an idea of the top 16 teams in Division 3. We mentioned that there is no regional tournament anymore for the D3. It used to be, but more of the teams now have bumped up to Division 2 in the men. So there really aren't as many teams in D3. That's why they've gotten away from the regional tournament qualifying in Division 3. Whereas they used to, again, do the top 2 in each region and then take 2 more out of each region out of a bracketed regional tournament. But now they don't have to do that. They don't do that anymore. It's just the top 16 based on the computer rankings. So we will keep you informed with that as we go along in the season here on the ACHA Power Play. So again, we'll be joined by head coach Dave Appel here in a moment or two. He's scheduled to join us at 8 o'clock. And then we will have another show of the ACHA Power. Next Tuesday, we'll have another great lineup of guests lined up for you. And it's this is where it gets fun. You know, you could see, you know, the cream start to rise to the top. And, you know, that's what makes it fun. But again, we talk about, you know, the love of the game with these students. And it's just I watch that and I just revel at how well that they all do. But right now, let's put the old headphones on right now and let's go to the guest line. And let's bring in the head coach of the University of Purdue, Dave Appel. Dave, thanks for joining us tonight. How are you? Oh, go. Oh, there we go. Sorry about Dave. I'm sorry about that. I had the volume down. Let's try that again. How are you?
Look, so appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. Well, let's get right off here. You guys had a great start the first semester, ranked 8th. You and I talked a little bit on the phone yesterday, I believe it was. Good start for the boys.
Yeah, it's kind of a dream season for us. Typically, we run into a lot of obstacles with being a run organization, and retention of players is probably one of my biggest problems that I have. And I'm real fortunate to have a great group of guys, and I had probably over 90% retention from last season. And we won our league playoffs last year. We won the league championship, and that would have put us in the nationals. But lo and behold, it was a little too late, so we didn't make nationals on a technicality. But so the boys were really kind of geared up to come back and make a run at it this year.
Now, you guys play in is it the Indiana Collegiate Hockey Conference? Is that right?
Yes. We've got Purdue Northwest, Purdue University, IU, Miami, Trine, and Butler. So we've got 6 teams in our league.
Well, Dave, it sounds like you guys had some motivation to start out the year and to keep it going. And did you guys use that as kind of a chip on your shoulders coming into this year?
Oh, absolutely. The boys were focused on it. That was kind of the theme. We set the goals early on in the season that we were, it was a drive for nationals this year.
Mm-hmm.
Had 60 kids show up
Wow.
for tryouts, and and didn't have a lot of slots available. So I was real fortunate to pick up the players that I lost from last year. I think I did real well in filling those slots, and we gained quite a bit of momentum just from that.
Well, Dave, I want to touch on something that you brought up. We talked about it yesterday on the phone too, is it's pretty much a student funded and student run team. I mean, I know you're the head coach and everything, but they've got to organize a lot of it, the fundraising and whatnot. And it's like I was talking to Jenna Trubiano in the last half hour, and of course, Frank DiCristofaro. These kids still have to go to class. It's academics first. And I just marvel at their dedication and their organizational skills to be able to get to quite frankly, pull it off.
Oh, you're 100% correct. I mean, if you went down my roster right now, I've got 5 or 6 aerospace engineers. I've got multiple mechanical engineers. I've got electrical engineers and chemical engineers, and then finance majors, kinesiology. So I don't have basket weavers 101 on this squad, and it's and I just love to walk into the locker room sometimes and listen to some of the conversations about the latest assignment for mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering, or and listen to these guys talk and literally doing homework in the locker room. And I actually had my backup goalie. Well, he was my backup goalie at the time. We were giving my backup goalie an opportunity, but my main goalie was on the bench actually finishing up an assignment, taking advantage of those few extra moments. So,
oh my goodness.
And the great thing about that, Luke, is last year I was able to nominate 8 academic All-Americans, 2 of them with a graduated with a 4.0, one in chemical engineering, the other one in aerospace engineering. And the one in aerospace is now at Northrop Grumman designing defense systems. So, I like to say I've got some smart boys that are pretty good at playing hockey too.
I was going to say they take that knowledge onto the ice and play smart too, I'll bet, huh?
Well, that's one of the advantages we have this year is the conversation, not just in practice, but also, on the bench during the games. These guys are working out the problems themselves. They're solving a lot of issues on their own. They know exactly what their attributes are, and they're able to, pull together and really work as a team. And I tell you, as a coach, you kind of let that roll. You set your priorities and you set the course for the team. But I really like to give these boys a lot of latitude because, number one, they are so intelligent. They are very motivated. And like you said, they're students first. That's what's going to be paying the bills when they grab that piece of paper walking across the stage.
Now, Dave, I had a chance to look at your team, the stats. I like to look at the stats of all the teams here. I'm always reading the webpage for the ACHA. What stands out to me is the nice mix of very good goaltending and the scoring that you guys have had this year. And obviously that's a recipe for the success that you've been able to enjoy in the first semester.
Yes, and if you dug down deep in our stats there, we've got a lot of guys on the boards. I've got defensemen that are good for point and a half a game, and then I've got forwards that are putting up close to 2.5 a game. So my first two lines, I really like to say, if you think that you can handle my first line, wait till you see my second. Because we're fairly well balanced, we're very deep, and and everybody. I love it when everybody gets on the scoreboard because now your team's playing both sides of the puck and you're playing 5-man hockey.
Now you get back. We talked to all the coaches about the semester break. Now you get back with a big weekend set against Miami, a home and home. This is where it really gets down to crunch time. All these teams. You got. The top 16 going to nationals, that's your goal. But now the margin of error is even that much less.
Oh, absolutely. And, this weekend versus Miami after a little stint off for winter break, that's going to be quite the test for us because, Miami's in the top 20 as well. They're one of our nemesis in the league. They're who we had to beat last year for the league championship. So, we don't take it lightly. And Friday night, we got to go into their house as well. Boy. So, but the good thing is we walk away with one win out of the two this weekend. We're undefeated in league play so far. So, if we pick up one win this weekend, we'll actually win the regular season, which will give us a nice bid going into playoffs.
So did the guys stay in somewhat shape over break for you?
I really hope so. I know the guys that I have. You mentioned goaltending, and I'd like to give big shout out to my goaltender Aiden Lowing. Mm-hmm. I've coached him actually since he was a freshman in high school, and I was able to encourage him to come out, to Purdue when he decided to go there. And that kid is just he's an absolute stud in that. He brings down my blood pressure quite a bit. When I've got him between the pipes. So hopefully I know he was on the ice over the winter break because I was with him. So it at least to know that my goalie got a little ice time during that time off.
So if it keeps your blood pressure down, you can actually enjoy watching your team play. I watch all these coaches when I broadcast the games, or they just seem like they're just a bundle of nerves the whole game.
Well, you're exactly right. I always laugh. I'm sweating like mad, but I never want to show it out there. You got to keep a calm, cool, and demeanor, and if you're the captain of the ship, the crew's going to follow your lead. So. Try to keep a nice demeanor on the bench, just calm, cool, and collected, and let the boys do what they need to do. And nerves are a big part of it, absolutely. And another part of that, Luke, is it's my son gave up his 5th year of eligibility to join me on the bench this year.
Wow.
It's been a real treat for him because he now sees the turmoil that I go through during game time, and he has a newfound respect for the game and for coaching, but that's just been a real treat for me because my dad is the reason why I'm coaching today, and to be able to hand that down is basically priceless for me.
Well, that's amazing. That's a great story, Dave. I appreciate you sharing that. Now with we talk about it again. I get so redundant with this, but it's now the sprint part of the season. With about a month and a half left, what if anything do you think the boys need to work on to keep that momentum going to stay, in the top portion of the rankings to get hopefully down the road that Nationals bid?
Well, that's a great question, Luke, and we've got a team meeting tonight before practice, and we're going to start talking about some of those things. I think for one thing that we really need to, as we face these tough teams down the stretch, you've got to be able to execute in all three zones. And something I'm really going to be working on is our neutral zone forecheck and kind of take away those rush opportunities, because, in the ACHA, you've been around it long enough. You can have one player that's really outstanding that can kind of hurt you. And if you play team defense and take away those opportunities in the neutral zone, then they don't give them the chance to make an entry, then that's a big one there. And just the whole concept of when we're, 5-on-5, we're playing 5-man offense, 5-man defense. I want to get my D involved, and I want my forwards to recognize when they need to cover, and that's the whole thing. It's team hockey. It's hard. It's tough to tell the forwards between the D in today's game, and that's something that I really like to impress upon my players.
Dave, you mentioned that your dad was able to coach you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What playing experience did you have before you got into coaching?
I didn't really go very deep in playing. I had to my senior year in high school. I was taken out of the game by concussions, and that was kind of the end of. I played some pretty, I guess if you can call it, pretty competitive beer league after after college. You couldn't find one of these today, but I played in a full Czech adult league there for a while, and got back involved in coaching. Coached in my youth. I really started at 15, and then I started getting back into it. When my son was 4 or 5 years old, and spent 17, 18 years in our local program, coaching all the way from 6U to up to to where I'm at now, and then. For the last 12 or 13 years, I've also been involved in the USA Hockey Coaching Education Program. So, putting on somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 clinics a year, and then I had the opportunity to do a coaching co-op with the National Team Development Program, and watching working with Matty Beniers and Jake Sanderson, and watching them tear it up, with the Senators and the and now it's just. Just being immersed in it for the last, for the last 25 years, and I'm a scholar of the game.
That's awesome.
So being in front of coaches all this time and sharing your experiences and learning from them, I think that has probably been one of my greatest growths as a coach.
Well, I can tell the enjoyment in your voice and it just by the way you talk about it. That's amazing. I love to hear that.
Well, just the opportunities that hockey has provided me throughout my lifetime. The relationships that I've made, my best friend to this date was my buddy that I played with in high school, So, just all the people you meet along the way, and the opportunities that the doors that are open for you, and the experiences that you have, and then just being able to share that with the kids. And, we always talk about in USA Hockey for life. Yeah. And, if my kids aren't going to, I've only had the opportunity to working with one player that's really got NHL aspirations, and I do that kind of on the side. But, every one of my players is going to be a professional at some point. And, and you want to give them the tools to be successful in the professional world. And then you also want to keep them in the game, to keep hockey for life. So
who was your NHL team growing up?
Everybody's going to think that I'm a bandwagon guy, but I've been an Avs guy ever since they came down from Quebec. And it was cool because when I did my co-op with the national team, I actually hung out with Dan Hinote, and sitting there and listening to him tell stories about Peter Forsberg. I mean, that's almost a surreal experience. So, and then on the heels of that, I've always been a Boston fan too. Okay. So so those are my teams. And thankfully, at least one of them's doing really well this year.
Well, hey, it's I can accept Boston, Colorado. Being a Red Wings fan, we'll tolerate it. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. We'll just agree to disagree on
There
that
you
one,
go.
definitely.
Sounds good to me. Well, Dave, I know you got a lot going on. I appreciate you taking time out tonight to be with us. This has been a treat. It's nice to meet you over the phone. Hopefully, if everything works out for your team, good Lord willing, we'll be able to meet you up in Boston in the middle of March for the national tournament. Keep up the great work, and good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, Luke. I sure do appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. Coach Dave Appel, the head coach of the Boilermakers of Purdue, right now ranked number 8 in Division III, as they look to get their end of the season going and make their push to go to Boston for the Nationals. Well, hey, that's going to just about do it here tonight. It's been a great show. We've had a lot of great conversation as always. Always great to catch up with the head coach of Indiana Tech, Frank DiCristofaro. I'll see him in about 10 days when they play Aquinas up for their home and home in Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference action. But they're ranked right now number 5 in the country in Division I. And it's always great to catch up with him. Good to talk to for the first time Jenna Trubiano, the head coach of the University of Michigan. Their women's D1 team ranked number 6 in the country. They've got a big weekend set coming up out west, out in Arizona. So good luck to them with that and the rest of the year. And, of course, Dave Appel, the head coach of Purdue, the Boilermakers. They have a home and home with the University of Miami. They're ranked right now 8th in Division III. And, of course, the top 16 go to nationals there as well. So great show. We'll have another one here coming up next Tuesday night. We hope that you're able to join us here for another edition of the ACHA Power Play. We want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out tonight to watch us, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got all of our shows there on our YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network. And remember, this podcast is now available as well. It will be available starting tomorrow on iTunes, iHeartRadio app, Spotify. So make sure you check that out. Follow us. Just subscribe to the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and you'll get all of these ACHA Power Play podcasts as well. So, well, that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here tonight. We'll be back here next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, for another edition of the ACHA Power Play. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the ACHA Power Play, here on the Captain Lou Sports Network, powered up by Belly Up Sports.